You think the plateau starts at 35. It does not. It becomes visible at 35. The stagnation was already there, accumulating quietly, layer by layer, year after year. What you call a plateau is not a sudden stop. It is delayed feedback from a structure that stopped evolving long ago. And now, it is simply revealing the result. Most men believe the issue is energy, less drive, less motivation, more fatigue. That is an emotional explanation. It feels accurate, but it is structurally wrong. Energy is not the limiting variable. Position is. By 35, most men are not lacking effort. They are locked into systems that no longer reward additional effort. The input increases. The output does not. So the conclusion becomes psychological. I am slowing down. In reality, the system stopped scaling, and you are still operating inside it. Here is the diagnosis. You built a life optimized for stability, predictable income, predictable environment, predictable relationships, predictable identity. At 25, this feels like progress. At 35, it becomes constraint, because stability removes optionality, and optionality is required for upward movement. You are not stuck because you lack ability. You are constrained because your structure resists change. Your obligations increased, your flexibility decreased, and your system became closed. Closed systems do not expand, they stabilize. And stabilization over time looks like stagnation. This pattern is not personal, it is systemic. The same trajectory appears across industries, across geographies, across income levels. Early phase, exploration. Mid phase, optimization. Later phase, preservation. Most men never exit the optimization phase. They refine what already exists. They do not redesign it. So the system becomes efficient, but not scalable. Efficient systems feel productive. Scalable systems create leverage. These are not the same. And the confusion is costly. Because efficiency improves performance inside the current structure, while scalability changes the structure itself. By 35, most men are highly efficient, inside systems that cannot elevate them further. Now we look at the mechanics. Hierarchy does not reward time. It rewards control. Control over resources, control over distribution, control over decisions. At 25, you trade time for income. This is acceptable. At 35, if this remains unchanged, it becomes a ceiling, because time is finite. And linear input cannot produce exponential output, so growth flattens. Not because you reached your potential, but because your model cannot scale. Leverage is the missing variable. Assets, equity, audience, systems that operate without your constant presence. Without these, income is tied to effort, and effort has a hard limit. Scarcity is another factor. If your skill is common, your negotiating power is low. If your role is replaceable, your upward mobility is capped. If your visibility is minimal, your opportunities are restricted. These are structural constraints, not emotional ones, and they compound over time. The consequence is predictable. Responsibility increases, expenses increase, dependence increases, but leverage does not. So pressure accumulates. You work more, but gain less relative freedom. This creates a specific form of tension, not failure, compression. You feel capable of more, but unable to access it. So frustration builds, quietly, internally, without clear direction. Because the system you are inside still functions. It pays, it sustains, it just does not elevate. And that makes it difficult to reject. So you adapt, you rationalize, you normalize the plateau. You call it maturity, stability, realism. But structurally, it is containment. And containment, over time, becomes identity. You stop seeing alternatives, not because they do not exist, but because your current system filters them out. Repositioning does not start with motivation. It starts with recognition. You are not plateauing because of age. You are plateauing because your structure is complete. And completeness removes growth pressure. To change trajectory, the structure must be reopened. This means introducing instability, deliberately, reducing fixed dependencies, increasing exposure to new networks, shifting from execution to ownership proximity, from isolated effort to leveraged systems, from private competence to visible positioning. This is not comfortable. It is not supposed to be. Closed systems feel safe. Open systems feel uncertain, but only open systems expand. The plateau is not a phase, it is a signal, a structural signal, that your current configuration has reached its limit. You can maintain it, or you can redesign it. The outcome will follow the choice, not your intention.